blink of a year. Tidal wave of debris, unrelenting and free, on my heels and I fear.
What you're basically doing by viewing art or listening to art is you're listening to sort of a sequence of choices that somebody was making at that one time. I like to just sort of stare into a blank piece of paper and just start kind of putting things down, and I sort of arrange as it goes, you know what I mean? And sometimes it happens really quickly and then it's really cool on its own really quickly. And then sometimes I'll like let it dry, and then once it's dry it takes shape and I start to see things in the picture.
There's art in that wave of debris. Most eyes I see a mess, but good things go less when naysayers can see.
I'm sort of lovingly ignorant as to the exacts of what I'm doing. Here's a fun little trick. They've combined forces. It's not hard for me to let go of the art, but what's hard for me is to like sort of take them away from each other. They seem to me, like when I'm showing my art, it seems to make a lot more sense to show them in conjunction with each other, like when this grouping of them happened. There are quite a few stages in the process of making something, whether it's a song or a painting or a drawing or something. And the first part of it looks a little bit like sort of wandering around. It's almost like you're digesting all of that stuff, and it comes out in bursts of sketches, bursts of words, poetry, pieces of songs, and there's a lot of it. It's sort of like this sort of flood that comes through. That's really that moment of inspiration. That feels wonderful. I just know that sort of going over the lines over and over and over again has this sort of hypnotic, blissful effect on me, and it ends up becoming like a sort of walking meditation. There's something about using an old existing surface to create something new on that's very sort of interesting and special to me. As the call, so the echo. I read it somewhere a handful of years ago, and I liked the idea behind that we get back what we put into the world. So the first part of the book is sketchbooks. I write everything down. I'm a compulsive doodle bug, really is what is happening. And it moves into ink and watercolor, which is a little bit more what I was showing you earlier. And these are examples, kind of more elaborate examples of stuff I found in just spilling around red ink. So I was listening to Tom Waits, and he found his way into the drawing. I think it's another interesting thing about the Sons of the Sea record is that a lot of my earliest musical influences somehow sort of found their way into the fold. Whether you're writing songs, painting pictures, I think it's really important to be very upfront and clear with your influences and your references, because not only is it educational for the listener or the watcher or the viewer, but it also it's honorable. During that time frame of the very late 90s, the very sort of end of the 90s into the sort of turnover into the new millennium, when Incubus started to kind of take off and do really well, and things really, really started speeding up. I was afforded less time to work on like fine art things, but I was never without a camera or a sketchbook. So I continue to journal and sketchbook and take pictures throughout all of that. I feel like if you do things that you love to do and you do them lovingly, it's like how could you be wrong? Do you know?
Brandon Boyd grew up in Calabasas, California, and in 1991 began singing and writing song lyrics with high school friends in what would become the multi-platinum selling and internationally recognized rock band some of you may have heard of, called Incubus. Though perhaps best known as a musician, he is also a visual artist and the author of 3 books combining his artwork, photography, and creative writing. White Fluffy Clouds, published in 2003, From the Murks of the Sultry Abyss, published in 2007, and his most recent publication, So the Echo, which was released last September. With that, please join me in welcoming Brandon Boyd.
Sit right there. I'm just thinking, please don't fall down the stairs. Hello, everybody. I'm just gonna sit here. I feel like I'm about to have like a sex ed conversation. Maybe that's what it's gonna be. How's everyone? It's nice to see you. Thank you all for coming. What was that you were watching? Okay. Okay, good. Did I say anything stupid? All right, we need like almost like a safe word if I say anything too dumb. Somebody yell out like, that'll be it. Did I just do that? And it already started? Okay. Seriously, if I say anything too dumb, just yell out Oklahoma. Well, cool. I'm so happy to be here. I am here to it's like sky's the limit. We can talk about like whatever you guys want to talk about. So. I can just sort of throw it to you guys if you have any questions of any kind. Comments, complaints, anything like that. Yes?
Hi, I've been a fan since 97. I'm outside since my name my daughter Stella after Stellar. So I don't put that out there. But throughout the years, I've grown with you and loved you, and I just want to know, like, out of everything that you do artistically, like, what's your favorite? Do and like make you like what you feel like you put out there is like your best work. I guess it's a two-parter. What's your favorite to do and then what you feel is the best like?
I'll start with the second part of your question. And this is probably the same, like you could probably ask any artist in the world and they'll tell you that the best thing they've ever done is what they're working on right now. Wait till you see it. You know what I mean? It's like I think it has to be that way. You have to fall completely in love, almost like an obsessive love with whatever it is that you're making, because you're pouring all of yourself into something, and then eventually when it becomes like a way of life, you understand that in order to like be able to pour all that love into it, you have to. It takes something that is close to obsession. You have to be kind of obsessed with it. So, of course, when you're done with it, you'd be like, check this out. It's so good. And then a year later, you're like, what have I done? Well, I wish I didn't show that to her. First part of your question. Oh, my favorite part. My favorite part, the entire time I've been making music, making art, is kind of like right in the center of the process, when you sort of stumble onto something that you haven't seen before, something's coming out of you that feels new, and you have kind of a fuzzy end result in mind, but you're not really focusing on that part of it. You're immersed, you're in love. You're not like, I can't wait to get married. It's like, no, you're just in love. You're just in the process, and it's wonderful. It feels like the closest thing I can imagine to bliss feeling like. So I think that's probably why we do it, is that you get to sort of continually channel that sort of blissful experience. And God forbid it ever becomes like your job. It's your job to be blissful. Imagine. Thanks for the question. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Speaking of blissful. Good morning, that's Balin. Yeah, bye.
I wanted to ask you a question. First of all, thanks for coming to Seattle, man.
Absolutely my pleasure. Yeah, I love it.
I wanted to ask you about looking through the book, and there seems to be a real prevalent theme of eyes, eyeballs, all-seeing eyes, and also in Incubus and Almar, and I know personal body art, so it's a theme that I see a lot. I've been dying to ask you. I'm very curious about what that symbol represents to you, why it's significant. Yeah, I believe it's really a misinterpreted symbol.
I'm glad you said that, because I do believe that the symbol of just the eye, the lone eye, and it has so many hundreds of thousands of permutations over the course of human history, and one of the most sort of commonly used associations is that of like a conspiracy theory, like the Illuminati. It gets associated with that, and it's understandable why, until you go to the DMV and you see how swiftly government organization is in place. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? To me, I think the reason I've been fascinated, actually, let me back up a little bit. For many, many years, I didn't actually know why it was so fascinating to me. I would just draw it. It would just be the thing, if I was just doodling or something, or even doing larger drawings, it would just always kind of make itself known. And so over the past few years, I've spent a great deal of time looking at that, hey, why is that continuing to emerge as a sort of prevalent archetype in my experience, in my sort of externalized experience with making art. I've come to the at least sort of temporary conclusion that that I is sort of a representation of consciousness witnessing itself. I know that sounds a tad abstract, but really where, in my perception, where we're evolving to as human beings is consciousness. I mean, everything you see is a manifestation of consciousness. Everything that is a manifestation of consciousness, but through our eyes, consciousness has the ability to witness itself and learn about itself and critique itself and perhaps even start to guide itself in certain directions. So to me, that's sort of what it means. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You didn't say Oklahoma, so. Yes?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you. I was wondering, a lot of your earlier albums kind of rediscovered them over the years as you listened to them for years. I was
Thank you.
come back over, and it's like you go through stages of listening, and you come back and you're like, oh, these are I'm really listening to the lyrics now. These are terrible lesson. So I was wondering if you had a recent lesson, or you've experienced, maybe on this trip.
What a lovely question. Thank you, by the way. First of all, for listening to our band for so long. It's such a trip. It's such a strange experience to travel around the world and you meet people that actually listen to what you've put so much, once again, love and effort and everything, all of yourself into. So I'm so happy that it actually hit in some way, shape, or form. Recent parables. It's actually a pretty big question. All I can say is I'll just take today, for example. My girlfriend woke me up at the butt crack of dawn, really excited. We were still in Cannon Beach in Oregon. And she woke me up, she's like, you have to come outside, you have to come outside. And I was like, "Rrr." And she's like, first of all, look at that pelican right there. And there was a pelican on our porch, and I'm like, it's not real. It was actually made of steel. It was just sitting so still. It's not real. Um, but she called me outside, and I came out, and I'm like, what? And it was just like pure magic out there at dawn, Cannon Beach, Oregon. It was like pink and purple, and it was low tide, so the sky was doing a perfect sort of mirror on the floor up, and you couldn't really tell the difference between the two. And immediately I was like, I'm really glad you woke me up. So we went down to the beach, and we started taking some pictures and stuff, and it was just, the overwhelming sensation was like, this is magic. There's no way else to describe it. I mean, you could like mechanize it and deduce it to its separate parts and understand the science behind all those things, but even then, it wouldn't be any less magical. So for today, that's been my lessons, that magic is absolutely everywhere. And then after that, we went hiking in the state park and went down to this place called Indian Beach, and it's where they filmed the last scene in Point Break. When Patrick Swayze's like, let me go out and surf the last wave. I'll rot in there, bro, and whatever he said. And that was fucking magical. There's a thing in LA called Point Break Live, and it takes place in like this crappy, tiny little bar, and you wear slickers because you get really wet. And they choose a Keanu Reeves character out of the audience every night. And you drink, and they just do out the whole movie. Magical. There's magic everywhere. So that's my answer for it. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Do you do tattooing, and how's the surf in Seal Beach?
Once again, sorry.
Do you do tattooing?
Do I tattoo?
Oh, I have given 3 tattoos in my life. They were on the same person, and all at one after the other. He was really drunk. It was his birthday. I was very nervous, and I looked down to like start. He wanted someone's initials on him. I was like, I can do that. So I did it, and it was fine. And then he's like, oh, do this person's initials. So I did their initials, and he like paused, and he goes, now do your initials. That's when I got nervous, honestly. And then so I did it, and I'm like, no, you're drunk. You don't want my initials, dude. Just call me, No, I love you. It's my friend Brian Smith. He's a really lovely photographer and amazing human being. Seriously, he like grabbed me and was like, do your initials. And I'm like, okay. And then I looked up at that point, and there was like 30 people, just phones like in front of them and the whole thing. So I digressed a little bit. Yes. I'd love to learn the stick and poke technique. I feel like I could take that with
I'll
me.
be the guinea pig.
Yeah? Let me practice on my thighs for a while. And then, yeah. And what was the second part of your question?
That was it?
Oh, how's the surf at Seal Beach? You ever surf there?
Seal Beach?
Yeah.
Where's that?
It's like Orange County-ish.
Here?
No, in Southern California.
Oh, in California. I've never surfed Seal Beach. I know of it. I've never surfed there. I've spent a great deal of my time surfing like around Venice Beach, Malibu, Zuma. I've traveled quite a bit to surf, but I've never surfed Seal Beach. So one day. Yeah. Scanning the room. Yes. You next.
How was your creative process for writing the songs of the Sea album different than what you're indie?
Did everybody hear her question?
No.
She asked how the songwriting and creative process was different during Sons of the Sea from writing with Incubus. It was different. It was a lot sort of faster. I think part of that was my writing partner for Sons of the Sea was Brendan O'Brien, who before that had produced Incubus, where he's in charge of making sure we don't kill each other and making everything sort of sound fantastic. He's really amazing at that. But writing with him, he has incredible energy, incredible creative energy. And if you lock the door on a recording studio at 11 a.m., you're gonna come out at 9 a.m. with something finished. And so it was just like, he just has this sort of almost like feverish pace. And it was infectious. I loved it. So we wrote a record kind of fast. for me. I normally like sit and like mull over lyrics and melodies and everything. We just kind of like, it just happened really quickly. That and writing with Brendan, he's a very different kind of musician than Michael Einziger is, and collectively with the guys in Incubus, it's, when I write lyrics and write music with them, it just feels different. There's a lot more history there. I mean, we grew up together, and the way that Michael writes guitar progressions and sort of musical progressions is really unique. It's really challenging. Like, he makes my brain hurt sometimes, because I call him talent chords. He's always showing me things like, oh yeah, check this out, and right here I do this like diminished seventh. I don't read music, I've never learned, so I never learned. But it's fun for me because it's almost, it's like peering into a genius novelist and then being asked to like proofread it. It's just like crazy challenging. It's really fun. And Brendan is also sort of a talent chord kind of guy, but it was just different. It's kind of hard to explain, as you can tell. Oklahoma.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you were a bird, what kind of bird would you be and why?
Am I a big bird or a little bird?
You can be any kind of bird you want to be.
Oh. Except for what? Metal bird. Okay, thank you. Yes. Yes, I'd be a metal pelican. Oh, wow, what a lovely question. I think I'd probably be a hummingbird. Yeah, they're such cool creatures. And they seem to stand still and fly at the same time. And they're obsessed with sugar. I can relate. So either that or like a fucking condor or something. That'd be cool. They have giant feathers. Cool question. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering about who inspires you in terms of like the artists that you look at, because I noticed that I see a lot of different illustrators in your work. Like I see some, it looks like you look at Alan Aldridge or maybe, like who else do you look at?
Alan's an amazing artist. Alan Aldridge did the artwork for the Incubus record, Like Grenades. And he did it, he hadn't heard any music at all. It was amazing. I gave him the lyrics. The songs were done, but we were like mixing in. And I was like, should I give you the music? And he's like, just give me the lyrics. And I gave him the lyrics, and he drew all that stuff. If you're familiar with the artwork, it's really detailed, and he went like really all out. So he's amazing. I'm a big Aubrey Beardsley fan, so much so that I sort of put his portrait on my wrist. He's there forever thinking. Sorry, dude. I've admired Egon Schiele's work for a long time. I was talking about this last night, actually. Instagram, strangely enough, has introduced me to so many contemporary artists. It's amazing. I look at my feed and it's inspiring every day. There's a crazy caliber of work happening right now in the world, and actually they're getting seen. Some of these people have like 200,000 followers, and you've probably never heard of them before. So it's kind of a neat time. Yeah.
Actually, to kind of piggyback off of that question, I just want to let you know, I first started listening to your music when I was in AP art class in high school. We would put on your records and also Tom Petty, so some of your music and Tom Petty bring back a lot.
That's good company.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of artistic memories, but is there music that, aside from you maybe your own or other artists that also inspire your vision?
Yeah. I do listen to music sometimes when I'm painting or drawing. Most of the time, I listen to nothing. I'll open the window and listen to the sort of cacophonous hum coming from outside, Sometimes I'll listen to people speaking. I'll listen to like Alan Watts talks, or listening to Ram Dass speak to me while I'm drawing and stuff like that. That's something kind of interesting. It's really, really cool though to draw and paint and let your head just go, you know what I mean? And not be sort of, because music, in good ways, has a tendency to dictate, you know, it'll take you. And if you're a willing sort of participant, you let it take you. And that's what's fun about it. So when I do listen to music, I'll listen to usually like Indian ragas or something while I'm drawing or painting. Because that stuff is so sort of like drony and meditative sounding. I find it's been good for what I like to do. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, what amount of time do you devote to your creative process, and does that fluctuate with the seasons of the year?
I'm sort of continually in a state of that. I just, it's a tough question to answer the first part, you know, as far as the time element, because I have tried to organize my life in a way that is conducive to muse arriving and staying for as long as she'd like at any time, you know. But times of year definitely do have an effect. I find that fall, as the light starts to change, for some reason it's incredibly inspiring. It's just like there's the slightest hue change in the color in the sky, and something happens where I just want to hold up in the studio and make music and draw and stuff. So have you found something like that as well?
During the fall and winter times, yeah, I find since there's less sunlight, tend to go inward.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Creative.
It's like you incubate.
Yeah.
You go in and you cocoon, and then when it's too nice outside, you don't want to like be inside. You want to like be skipping around and drinking iced coffee. So that's what we do up here. Yes.
Of the places you performed, was there any place that you were surprised how well you were received? Any like areas where you didn't think you were going to do so hot and they ended up loving it, or places you were more popular and you thought?
You know, the first, especially the very first time that Incubus went to Central and South America, we didn't really have any idea at all as to like how many people would show up to a concert or what it would be like. We'd heard from friends' bands, they would say like, oh dude, it's crazy, like they go crazy down there, it's so much fun. But here in the States, for quite a few years, we've had like this thing, it's called SoundScan, where you can like see how many records you were selling in what places. And so promoters would always rely on that too. Size of rooms and guarantees and all these different things, but down there was nothing of the sort. They would just sort of guess. And some of the biggest concerts we've ever played were down there. And like, especially the first few times we went down, and it was actually like frightening. Where we'd go on stage and you couldn't hear, we play loud, you know, it's like 115, 120 dB, and you couldn't hear us, because they were like chanting the riffs at us. Like it was some crazy ritual, and it was crazy fun, but all of us were super nervous too. We had no idea it would be like that. And we've also, and then the opposite has happened too. Like we show up and we're like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. We're gonna rock. And the room's like half full, you know? And the bartender's like, yeah! You know? Never a dull moment though. It's always very surprising. Yeah.
We've got time for 2 more questions.
Yes? The Elvis Costello song, Allison. Excuse me. I do love that song. Elvis Costello has been a favorite for a long time. He just sort of has an unusual songwriting style, and his voice is so unique, and he looks super cool, and you know. That song, I don't know, I just always found it to be terribly clever, and I didn't know. I just liked the song growing up, and then when I was old enough to really start kind of picking apart the lyric, I'm like, this is kind of dark. I like it. You know, have you guys heard this song I'm talking about? Elvis Costello, Allison, great song. I'm sure it's available to steal. Yeah.
Why do you think that Incubus is managed to be so successful since the 90s? You guys kind of take breaks for kind of long breaks. Some of them are longer, much longer than the others. So why do you think it works?
You know, that's like I'm not sure that's for me to answer. I honestly don't know. I think that there's, I will say this, we're continually humbled by the fact that we can like go away and make music like almost literally like in a cave and not emerge for a long period of time and then come out, and then there are people that still are interested in what we're doing, especially in this day and age when we're competing with like Grumpy Cat, you know, it's think about it, like we really are. Like
collaboration.
Yeah.
You need to collaborate with Grumpy Cat.
That's a great idea. I'm a fan. Like I follow him on Instagram, and I get a great deal of joy from Grumpy Cat, ironically enough. No, but it's such a wonderful time in with this technology and the internet, but it's also humbling because you can't even try and keep up. All you can do is just do what you do, and like do your best to like put it out there and do it with love and do it with integrity, and then kind of keep your fingers crossed. You just never know what next thing is gonna like go viral and become, you know, sort of harness everyone's attention. But I honestly don't know. I know that we work really hard at what we do. And when we go away for periods of time, we're not like going away and like kicking our feet up on the couch and, you know, doing like Netflix binges. Maybe sometimes. But that's kind of where, I don't know, I would like to think that it's because we love what we do, and we wouldn't actually put anything out that we didn't fully endorse and have all of ourselves in it, all of our integrity and all of our sort of creative will there. And maybe that's part of it, I don't know. And I think there's probably a great deal of luck involved too. That part I have learned. It's amazing when a concert can take place and when you have those nights where like everything works. When we come off stage, it's like, it's amazing. I cannot believe like that amount of chaos factor sort of swimming around in one room. 15,000 people, parking, ticket stubs, beer gardens, like, you know, individual predispositions, food allergies, like all of these things, it's crazy. And then one night it can all kind of come together and work, and people have a wonderful sort of unifying experience. So maybe one day I'll know for sure, I don't know. How about one more question? That's you, no, yeah, you.
Is there a specific place that you've traveled to or that you traveled to get that has inspired you or your artwork the most? I mean, I know you travel a lot, but like, is there one place that is just like really like your bread and butter for creativity?
Kind of a shitty answer, but home. Yeah, I do travel a lot, and I love traveling for the most part. But I can't, I don't really know how to make sense of all of it until I kind of stop periodically, kind of organize my thoughts, and that's when everything kind of rushes in. Every once in a while, I'll be in a place. This morning, actually, once again, we'll go back to the front with this. And where we started, this morning was really inspiring. And I walked through the woods in Oregon, and I was like just swimming with music and humming to myself and singing into my phone and taking pictures and everything. So I have a feeling I'll be going back there. There's some amazing forests here too, aren't there? Yeah. So there's something about where the forest meets the sea that does something really fun for me. So I'll be seeking more of that out too. But yeah, home. Home has a very particular thing that it does. When I'm writing music, it's a very kind of like, it's a very sort of cerebral process, so I end up sort of wandering around a lot. The very, very last parts of it are me sitting down in front of a book and writing the thoughts out. Most of it is me walking around my neighborhood or riding my bicycle. I probably look like a crazy person. I'm just walking around, like looking at things, and that's sort of how I know how to do it. So if you catch me in Seattle doing that, maybe I've lost my mind, or maybe I'm relaxing.
What's that?
In California, yes. Yeah. Born and raised. Really?
What about? Where?
Me too. I'm a Valley girl too. Yeah, me too. Van Nuys Presbyterian. Yeah. Anyway, I'd like to say thanks to the Seattle University Bookstore for having me. Yeah, and thank you all for coming tonight.